Thomas was led to a trial that lasted for days. He was pressured to reveal all the crimes he had committed, since might be some that the police were unaware of. The prosecutor was strict, a short, fat, red-faced Muscovite. Full of annoyance, he gave orders that the interrogations conclude rapidly, as if he wanted to put an end to this whole incident that was so terrifying. The prosecutor plainly showed that for a long time he had yearned to catch Thomas because his atrocious crimes had become a headache and had given him nightmares. Now he thought that the rat was in the trap. But how wrong the prosecutor was. Before him, sitting on a stool with his hands tied, was not one of the countless criminals that plague society. No, no, no criminal was in front of him. The grace of the Lord's resurrection, like a powerful ray of sun, shone upon the dreary depths of Thomas's troubled heart. His entire inner self was illuminated, and then he saw the rags and cobwebs that sin had heaped up there. He immediately sought to cleanse himself of everything filthy with his tears and contrition. But haven't sinners been cleansing their souls in the same way for the past 2,000 years? They are cleansed by the grace of Christ, who became man, suffered, was crucified, and arose to save every sinner, as long as they themselves accept his grace. This is why Thomas, too, started shedding rivers of tears the very moment that little Michael, that little angel of love and kindness, offered him his Easter egg and said to him, "Christ is risen." It was then that he started washing every piece of filth in his soul and became a new man who lived only for Christ. At the very moment that he took that egg, oh, what a holy and thrice blessed moment in his life, Thomas's soul rose from the bonds of sin that had enslaved him for years on end, inciting him to commit so many atrocious and horrible crimes. Thomas didn't say a word to the prosecutor. He just sat there with a peaceful, steady smile on his lips. When someone else would enter the office, he would turn and say to him with the spontaneity of a small child, "Christos voskriese." Despite the pressure during the interrogation, he didn't want to recall anything about his old, evil criminal life. He answered every question by simply saying, "Christos voskriese." His mind, tired by sin, didn't want to separate itself from the sweet face of the risen Savior. Christ had enraptured his beaten-up soul, just as a magnet easily pulls iron fillings, and this is why he couldn't think about anything else. The interrogation lasted a long time. Time was passing, yet Thomas Hryskov, that wild beast that scourged the foothills of the Ural Mountains like a phantom from hell, had now changed. The grace of the risen Christ had brought warmth to his frigid soul. This was why he was now like a peaceful little sheep that had coiled up in a corner of his dark prison cell. His handcuffs were so heavy that when he tried to raise his hands occasionally, they would bleed, leaving long lines of warm blood on his body. Nevertheless, he was indifferent and remained in an ecstasy of fervent prayer. Even the food they brought didn't interest him much. If his grim, savage jailer didn't shout to him, "Eat up, you filthy dog," he wouldn't even ask for a drop of water to quench his lips that had become salty and white after so much hardship. The more time that passed, and the more they interrogated him, the more peacefully and calmly he said to everyone, "Christos voskriese." He replied with the same words when they started whipping him violently, causing deep wounds, in an attempt to force him to talk. The people that passed by his cell to verify that this was the fearsome vagabond that had once created so many problems in the area, at first stared at him, petrified with fear, but later they were enchanted by an inexplicable attraction, viewed him with great compassion, and said to themselves, "Can this really be the same Thomas?" Of course, his face was the same. He had the same hands, the same giant legs that ran like a deer, but his appearance had so much serenity and cheerfulness that it made everyone doubtful. Where are those eyes that were once so atrocious, that looked like those of an enraged bull. Where is that troubled, rebellious man who resembled a wild tiger that was just put in a cage? What a stunning change! What a strange miracle of rebirth has taken place with this creature of God! This is why the people who were summoned to verify Thomas's identity left with their souls enchanted by the serene peace of Thomas, who won everyone's trust and compassion.